Written by lead actor Sylvester Stallone, he plays Rocky Balboa, a local bum who does boxing on the side to earn a couple of extra bucks to try to get by. He has another bum friend called Paulie, played by Burt Young, who has a sister that Rocky takes a liking for called Adrian, played by Talia Shire. During this, the current boxing heavyweight champion Apollo Creed, played by Carl Weathers, has a no-show opponent and needs a replacement in just 5 weeks. So he decides to be all patriotic and give an unknown a shot at the belt, choosing Rocky, purely based on his nickname of the Italian Stallion, finding it to be marketable. Rocky accepts whilst winning over Adrian and then trains for the big fight, to which both men beat the ever-loving Jesus out of each other, which surprises everyone, having assumed that Creed would be KSI to his Joe Weller, and the match goes the distance before it's down to the judge's decision, who hand it to Creed as Rocky gains notoriety and celebrates with Adrian. Did you get all that? Hope so.
Absolutely.
Amazingly, Stallone actually wrote the entire screenplay for this movie in 3.5 days. Took me 3 years to write Ready to Stumble!
You know, you should have planned ahead.
He saw the championship match between Muhammad Ali and Chuck Wepner in Richfield, Ohio on March the 24th, 1975, and he was allegedly inspired by the story. Nobody expected Wepner to actually last very long, but he went all the way to the 15th round before finally being knocked out, but Stallone weirdly denies that this was his inspiration. Come on, Sly, we all know it was. Why you lie, Sly?
You don't want to know.
In fact, Chuck Wepner actually sued Stallone for this, but was settled out of court with an undisclosed amount. Muhammad Ali even spoke out at the Academy Award ceremony with Stallone to show that he wasn't offended by the movie one bit. The studio, United Artists, liked the script and wanted it to further the careers of stars such as Robert Redford, Ryan O'Neal, Burt Reynolds, or even James Caan. Stallone refused to let them make the movie unless he played the lead character himself. He was so broke he only had $106 in the bank at the time, no car, and was even attempting to sell his dog because he couldn't afford to feed it. He was literally working as an usher, earning just $36 a week. But to his credit, he always stuck to his guns. The producers eventually agreed, but only if he continued to help write the production unpaid. However, they only agreed due to a misunderstanding. Once they gained access to the script and actually liked it, they wanted to know more about Stallone and were sent a copy of his 1974 movie called The Lord of Flatbush. Flatbush.
Don't tease me.
It's about a street gang in Brooklyn, New York, and follows unknown actors at the time, Perry King, Henry Winkler, and Paul Mace. When asked which one was Stallone, they were told the blonde kid, who was actually Perry King. This caused confusion as he didn't seem to be Italian like the name Stallone suggests. The movie was only greenlit because they liked Perry King in that movie and wanted him. And when they discovered the truth, they failed to see the funny side. Oops.
It's a waste of life.
Stallone has often stated that he would have never been able to forgive himself if the film was a hit and somebody else was the main character. He was also aware that producers of the studio were able to greenlight the project if the budget was low enough. It ended up becoming $1 million.
Absolutely.
The producers remained unsure about having an unknown playing the lead. Real boxer Ken Norton was given the part for Apollo Creed but later pulled out. When Carl Weathers auditioned, he accidentally hit Stallone for real. Sly told him to calm down as it was only an audition, and Carl said he'll do a lot better when he gets to audition with the real actor. They had to actually explain that Stallone was the real actor. Carl looked at him and replied, "Well, maybe he'll get better." That alone got him the part. Wow, he's a complete douche. You're hired.
I should have broke your thumb!
Stallone wanted Harvey Keitel as Paulie, but it was far too expensive. Carrie Snodgrass was cast as Adrian, but was later recast as she wanted more money, the same for Cher. Susan Sarandon auditioned, but was considered too attractive, which is when Talia Shire landed the part. Oh, you're nice and ugly, you're hired!
Screw you, creepo!
Shire was more eager to work on the film to break out of the shadow of her brother Francis Ford Coppola, but she also loved working with Stallone and loved his intelligence and knowledge of filmmaking. The training montages of hitting carcasses to train or running up the steps of the Philadelphia Museum of Art was based on Joe Frazier's real training regime, but he was given no credit for it. Wow. They just seemed really douchey whenever they copied stuff from real life, didn't they?
I suppose.
But Stallone was a thrill to work for, as he always found ways to save money, even helping in the editing room and doing loads of extra dubbing completely free of charge. In fact, the original script was even darker. Rocky's manager, Mickey, played by Burgess Meredith, was going to be racist, and Rocky was even going to give up and throw the fight right at the end, realizing that he didn't want to be a boxer. Good job cutting those guys. actually. Good job.
Why'd you do that?
Filming began on January the 9th, 1976 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, though some scenes were shot in Los Angeles, California, and only lasted 28 days. Injuries were commonplace on set too. Both Stallone and Weathers hurt themselves with bruised ribs and damaged noses when shooting their epic fight. Stallone also pulled a tendon in his leg during a jogging scene through Philadelphia and had to be taken to hospital in a wheelbarrow. And shortcuts were always done due to the low budget. There's a scene where Rocky bribes a staff member to let them ice skate after hours. This was supposed to be when it was open, but they genuinely couldn't afford hundreds of extras. Clever.
Absolutely.
They also pointed out their own flaws. At one point, this is said,
Jergens, the poster's wrong.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm wearing white pants with a red stripe.
this is a real mistake by the studio's props department. They genuinely couldn't afford to fix it, so they just had Rocky actually acknowledge it. It's pretty clever.
Oh, certainly.
In fact, they did it again when his robe turned out to be too baggy for Stallone, so his character actually kept bitching about it in the final film. Regardless, Rocky ended up grossing a worldwide total of $225 million, making it the highest that year and was quite well received to say the least. Roger Ebert compared Stallone to a young Marlon Brando. Box Office magazine claimed audiences will root for Stallone as a new star. Many compared the film to works of Frank Capra. Frank Rich said it was gimmicky and the script a bit heavy-handed, but preferred it over the cynicism that was prevalent in movies during that time. It was nominated for 10 Academy Awards, but walked away with Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Editing. But to this day, along with Charlie Chaplin, Stallone remains the only man of two in film history to have been the writer of an original screenplay, starred as the lead of the same film, and to have been nominated for Oscars for both. Damn.
Why weren't you there, huh?
The American Film Institute picked it as one of the top 10 classic American films ever and the second best sports movie, only behind Raging Bull, the 52nd most thrilling, 4th most inspiring, 78th best overall, Rocky as the 7th greatest hero with the famous line, Adrian! As the 80th best quote, which Premiere picked as 9th, and Entertainment picked the famous montage as the 13th most awesome moment in film history. The movie was such an impact, they actually built a Rocky statue on top of the Philadelphia Museum of Art steps, which were temporarily removed but then returned, and the whole famous montage has been parodied to death over the years, and rightfully so. This movie is amazing. It really is, and it is definitely deserving of the title of the true, definitive underdog story.
Absolutely.
I mean, Rocky's a bit weird though. He talks to Fish and himself an awful lot. I guess all those punches to the head finally took his toll on him. One serious issue I have though is the love story. Rocky just lingers around Adrian and she never shows that she's even interested. I get that she's shy, but this is really awkward and just uncomfortable to watch. He hits on her and follows her around and he just doesn't leave her the hell alone. I mean, Paul even brings him home one day to take her out without even asking her first. This is just wrong. She says no and neither of them take it for an answer. Which is weird because later on, Paulie gets arsey because Rocky dated his sister. But here he is trying to get Rocky to date his sister. What the hell do you want? I mean, Paulie throws her Thanksgiving turkey out the door, threatens to kick her out of the house, and Rocky just watches and doesn't do anything. This isn't a touching love story, this is warped torment. He does eventually decide to maybe cancel, but not because of what they're doing, but because he says she seems like she's in a bad mood. Yeah, I'm not surprised, you weirdos. He only gets her to agree to go on a date by guilt-tripping her about him being alone for Thanksgiving.
You do me a favor, I ain't got nobody to spend Thanksgiving with,
Yeah, manipulation equals charming love story. And just when you think it can't get any more disturbed, he invites her into his house after. She says no, and again he won't take it for an answer and just forces her to come in. And then she even says that she's uncomfortable and wants to leave.
I'm not sure I know you well enough. I don't feel comfortable.
And he continues to pressure her to stay and even asks her to remove her clothes.
Do me another favor. Just take off that hat.
How has this been perceived as a touching love story for so many decades? This is abuse. This is borderline rape. Sly, what is wrong with you? And yet, he has the audacity to have a scene with a little girl where he tries to give her life lessons about growing up correctly and not being a whore. Oh yeah, that's fine, but he'll grow up and harass this woman and trick her into bed and do whatever he likes. What a great role model. Great film though, great film. I swear it is good.
Rocky Balboa? Never heard of him.
Look, it's the name, man. The Italian Stallion.
And what does he keep pronouncing it Italian? just annoying. Sorry, annoying. I do love this scene though. Rocky yells at him, and rightfully so. Mickey treated him like crap, but now that he's gaining coverage and is going up against the big champ, he wants to be his manager and is suddenly interested. It's incredibly emotional and inspiring.
Don't fall around me!
Talk about your prime.
What about my prime, Nick? At least you had a prime! I ain't had no prime, I ain't had nothing.
And moments later, he even chases after Mickey and accepts. It's a great message that sometimes you have to swallow your pride, even when you realise what you have to do. Look, Stallone is beating his meat. I've never really thought much of Stallone's acting before, but he genuinely is really charming in this, especially when he pals around with Paulie.
See the cigar? Or stick it in your ear. Now don't do these things to me. You should have called me up or something. Leave a message. Don't do that.
My sister really likes you.
I'm gonna kill you one of these days, I swear to God.
It honestly is so much fun to see them have such friendly banter together.
I'm not good enough to meet with Gazzo!
Oh, okay, never mind. Where the hell did this come from? It's just out of nowhere. Apparently he's angry at Rocky's ego, but where was this 2 minutes ago? You were fine then. In fact, in the very next scene, you're fine again. What the hell? Do you know how people work, Sylvester? I don't think you do.
I don't know.
The famous montage is honestly amazing. It really is so motivating, and that is the best way to describe this movie. It will inspire the ever-loving hell out of you. This is another great scene, which surprisingly even nearly ended up on the cutting room floor. They were pressed for time and the studio really wanted to cut it out entirely, but Stallone really fought for it, believing it to be one of the most essential parts of the entire story, and it really is. It's the night before the big fight where he wants to quit and give it all up, venting to Adrian about how he's a failure and he can't go through with it. Everyone alive has felt this way, and the film would have just felt empty without it. I do like how ridiculous he looks and how seriously he's not taking the fight, but it's a bit over the top and unneeded. Oh, and Apollo clearly does not get up in time here, by the way. Just watch.
The champ is down. Yes, he is. Green is down. What a surprise this is. This is the first time the champion has ever been knocked down. Boy, Toledo is giving him the count. 6, 7.
Apollo just clearly lost the fight in the first round. I'm just saying.
Get a job, you bum.
But the fight itself is again so inspiring. Rocky gets the absolute crap beaten out of him, but he just keeps getting up and carrying on, even with a broken nose. Both men get bloodied but don't care. Even their managers tell them to stay down, but they both threaten them if they decide to throw in the towel. And I really love the ending. You expect the cliche of the underdog always coming out on top, so it's refreshing to see him do so well and then still lose. But he's also too occupied finding Adrian. She's his priority. It's perfectly shot and edited together. It is seamless storytelling, and that's what makes this movie work so well.
You got a big mouth. You know, you just talk too much.
Not long after, a novelization followed the same year of its release, followed by video games, a parody movie called Ricky 1 in 1988, and a whole bunch of sequels to follow. In fact, this has more sequels than any Best Picture winner in history with 6. But really, have any managed to maintain the charm and passion of the original film? After the awkward beginning of the relationship, the love story is actually fine. The acting is all around charming, but it really is a true underdog story to get you pumped up, and in my mind, worthy of all of its accolades. A damn good film. Got nothing to say other than a Rocky pun. My puns are getting rocky. That'll do. I'm done.